What do Aatu Räty and Shane Wright have in common? Well, it's the fact that both of these guys are centers. It's the fact that both of these guys were supposed to go first overall in their respective NHL entry drafts. And it's, potentially the fact that they could each have gotten traded to the Vancouver Canucks. Who knows? That's not set in stone. That hasn't happened yet. But for Aatu Räty and Shane Wright, I feel like there are enough similarities to bring into the forefront, especially when you look at the latest update from David Pagnotta and thefourthperiod.com. We have ourselves a new 2026 summer trade watch list, and Shane Wright, the former projected first overall pick of 2022 that slipped to fourth overall, is on it. By the way, big shout out over to Corey Pronman of The Athletic, the only guy who had Wright ranked outside the top two, essentially. He ranked Wright number 4 on his mock draft, and guess what? He was correct. Nobody else thought that Wright would be going fourth overall, let alone would have been available at 4. But either way, the former projected first overall center is on the trade watch list as the 13th overall name, courtesy of David Pagnotta. Here is the latest trade update on Shane Wright out of the Seattle Kraken. The Kraken are trying to make a big splash this offseason and add a top-tier player. Packaging Wright in a trade for just that could be in the cards. As the fourth period first reported earlier in the season, Wright is available, and he is also open to a change of scenery. Teams reportedly linked include the Vancouver Canucks and the Nashville Predators. Now, what's also interesting is the fact that you do have at least one Vancouver Canucks name on this list. Jake DeBrusk is linked over here. Guess which teams are linked to this dude? The Seattle Kraken are right there. Now, for what it's worth, Elias Pettersson is also linked to multiple teams in this article. However, Seattle is not on the list. Could we see some sort of a Jake DeBrusk for Shane Wright trade? Not sure if that's all too plausible considering the disparity in overall trade value. But Shane Wright is a guy who, at 22 years old, still has a lot more to prove at the National Hockey League level. He went from 44 points to 27 points in roughly the same amount of games for a Seattle Kraken team that has been consistently disappointing ever since their playoff berth a few years ago. Shane Wright was supposed to be a steal, a 90-point NHL center who slowed the game down and had some really good intangibles. These were the things that we were saying about Wright back when he was an OHL prospect and inevitably an NHL prospect in the draft. It's kind of funny because Aatu Räty experienced a similar fall from grace, you could say, because this guy was supposed to go first overall in the 2021 NHL Entry Draft, but during the course of that 2020-2021 draft season, Räty just had probably the worst draft-eligible campaign imaginable. He didn't end up making the World Junior team, a team that he had made the previous season, by the way. He didn't get any points with his Liga squad, and he wasn't really doing too much in the junior league either. So Aatu Räty went from a first overall projected guy to getting drafted in the second round. And I do think that there was a lot of overcorrecting done on the stock that Räty had, which is why he went so late. But inevitably, he was traded to Vancouver in the Bo Horvat trade, and now he's coming off a year where he had 14 points in 66 games. A very misleading number when you acknowledge the fact that Adam Foote just hated this dude, for whatever reason. Now, Räty's coming off of a really strong World Championship stint, and we are sitting here asking the question, is another former projected first overall pick in the cards for the Vancouver Canucks? Now, you could also talk about the Nashville Predators. They are linked to Wright as well. I do think that Nashville, if they were to go down the path of acquiring Wright, it would maybe misalign with some of the direction decisions they've made over the past few months. I say that because when you look at the Nashville Predators and their team, it's quite obvious that they are building a squad that wants to be competitive. Yes, it's true they have a lot of cap space, and yes, it's true they just got Chris McFarland, a guy who's going to come in here and who has a lot of experience building good teams. But you look at the names that they have. I mean, Philip Forsberg, he's 31. You have Steven Stamkos, who is 36. Marchessault's 35. O'Reilly's 35. They just got Ross Colton. I mean, this doesn't seem like a team that is all too interested in acquiring a potential longer-term-ish piece. Seems like Nashville is in it to win it now. And I do question whether or not they would be interested in Shane Wright because they feel like he is an immediate option that helps them be competitive now, while they still have Stamkos, Marchessault, O'Reilly. These guys are in their mid-30s and they're the core of the team, essentially. Or if getting a Shane Wright would be them shifting their direction. Oh, maybe we could actually trade an O'Reilly or somebody to Seattle because Seattle wants to be competitive too, and maybe trading away a Shane Wright helps them do that more so in the short term. It's the same sort of philosophy that we can talk about when it comes to Jake DeBrusk from the Vancouver Canucks and whether or not he can be seen as a primary target for Seattle in a Wright trade. Of course, though, we did make a video earlier in the month talking about Shane Wright potentially being a Montreal Canadiens target. That is just more irony. It's for the memes because of the fact that Shane Wright seemed so pissed off that the Montreal Canadiens did not draft him back in 2020. Oh boy. That's what it was. 2022. Brain fart. I almost said 2021, but then I was like, wait a minute. That was the Aatu draft. That was the Owen Power, Matty Beniers draft. Shane Wright ended up going forth for pretty much the same reason that we are always bringing up here on this YouTube channel, just in case this is your first video. Montreal went with Slavkovsky because they thought this was the guy with the highest ceiling at the time. He dominated the World Championships. He dominated the Olympics. He was a goal-scoring machine, and if everything panned out, you're looking at essentially Mikko Rantanen 2.0. Next up, the New Jersey Devils passed on both Shane Wright and Logan Cooley because they already have Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier. They needed right-handed defensemen, so they took Simon Nemec. Third overall, the Arizona Coyotes, they probably took Cooley because they just spent more time scouting and getting familiar with Cooley and his game. They preferred him over Shane Wright, plain and simple, which left the Seattle Kraken to take Wright, a guy that nobody in their right minds, except for Corey Pronman, thought would be available in the 4th overall spot. Congrats to him. He is one of the more out-there draft analysts, but his predictions come true more often than some of the other mainstream names. But with that said, you can let me know your thoughts in the comments. How do you feel about this little history lesson? Aatu Räty, what these guys were supposed to be and how their draft-eligible campaigns went. Do you think Shane Wright is a reasonable target for the Vancouver Canucks? I'd say yeah. If Shane Wright has that sort of upward potential and it's still untapped, I would love to see the Vancouver Canucks get a potential 80 to 90 point center long-term. You can only improve your youth if you get younger guys in the system. And if it's a DeBrusk for a Wright, yeah, sure, maybe DeBrusk is an established 20-plus goal scorer now, but Shane Wright almost had 20 goals last year. He's pretty all right. Thoughts in the comment section if you're a Canucks fan or a Nashville Predators fan. If you're a Kraken fan, what would you want in exchange for Wright in a trade? Let me know in the comments all your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.